Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of my new show, At Your Own Pace. This is where we highlight runners of all backgrounds, paces, finish times. We share stories that inspire, connect us, and celebrate our running community, where we stop focusing on the mile splits, the PRs, the finish times, the paces, and we focus on the miles lived, because every runner has a story that's worth telling. You won't hear about PRs, you'll hear about the mental battles. You'll hear about the moments of profound connection, the personal healing that running has brought to individuals, and just the sheer joy that is found on the roads, on the trails, and the tracks around us. So without further ado, I want to bring in our very first interviewee, whose resilience I admire so much and has one of the most powerful stories in the running community. He's a marathoner, he's a fundraiser, he's a dad, and the heart behind KetchupToCancer, a mission built from love and loss and a desire to make sure that no family faces cancer alone. He says he hates ketchup, but he hates cancer even more, and I could not agree with him anymore. And he's using running to fight back. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here and to be the first episode. I think what you're doing, Mike, is fantastic. So it's an honor to be here.
I appreciate that. And likewise, I remember you reaching out to me and I was immediately blown away by just your sheer tenacity and resilience in terms of what you're trying to do. I know that your story deals a lot with grief, and I think running is a powerful tool when it comes to grief, even in my own life with my own story. And the way that you have been able to utilize running to not just help yourself, but help others is truly inspiring. And I can't wait to share your story with everybody.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to get into it.
Awesome. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So I want to talk about, kind of the elephant in the room. And I know you said you were an open book for me, but this is still a little uncomfortable for me to talk about just because it's such a heavy topic. But losing your wife, when did you realize that running could turn that pain into purpose and not just use it as some sort of like a coping mechanism?
Yeah. So after losing Amanda in 2019, we had our son who was just turned 4, and I just wasn't very good at taking care of myself. I spent a lot of time caring for others, being a caregiver for her, being a dad, being, the employee that's doing all the things. And I didn't focus on me. And so eventually I realized my son shouldn't lose another parent because I couldn't take care of myself. And so my journey actually started with walking. And in 2020, in July 2020, I took my first step out my front door and walked what ultimately became 500 miles. There was a challenge that we had during the pandemic here in Indianapolis. And so I walked 5. That was just earth shattering to be able to take that first step, and realize that I've spent so much time on the couch, and just getting that motivation to get up off the couch. And that was the hard part. And then along the way, now fast forward, I've logged more than 4,200 miles. And somewhere pretty early on, I realized that this is helping me be a better parent. It's helping me be a better employee. It's helping me just be a better person to everybody who's important in my life. And I don't know. I think the other part of it too is during Amanda's cancer treatment, we did everything we could. And so the grief, though strong, I wasn't sitting here with a what if. We called all of these different hospitals. She got on clinical trials. We had Johns Hopkins. We had Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York. We had MD Anderson in Texas looking at her case. Like, we put it all out there. And so I think that was something that helped a lot for me, is like, there wasn't that what if.
Absolutely. No, that is incredibly powerful. I know we talked about this briefly before the show, but yeah, when I lost my grandma, we went through every single process that we could in order to try to help her. And unfortunately, life has other plans at times that do not go our way. But one thing that I want to bring up is this motto: I hate ketchup, I hate cancer more. When did what is this thing with ketchup? When did the tagline come up? And
yeah,
like, it's really catchy. And so, like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah. So my now fiance, our kids actually met um, about 5 years ago, just randomly at the zoo. And so we actually went to our July 4th parade last year and swore that somebody was handing out ketchup packets. And we are like, man, wouldn't that be really funny to just hand out ketchup packets at a parade? And so as we got closer to this year's July parade, July 4th parade, I looked it up, and in the town we live in, it cost $50. It was a $50 donation
Mhm.
to the local Lions Club. And we're like, I can do that. And so I was out mowing the lawn, just like, how can I use ketchup and actually do some good with it? I really do not like ketchup at all. I will send food back if, I specifically say no ketchup. No thanks. And just mowing and catch up to cancer, and it kind of
Mm.
clicked. And so all of that sparked because I was fundraising for the Berlin Marathon. I'm
Mhm.
as a St. Jude hero. St. Jude has been my primary charity that I've worked with, and I was just struggling to fundraise and get attention. I'd completed the 3 U.S. major marathons in over the course of a year and raised about
Mm.
$30,000 with those three. And so like my people were just like tapped out. Like I have been asking them for 16, 18 months, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Mhm.
Right. And obviously it's going to a fantastic cause. St. Jude, make sure no family, as you mentioned, receives a bill. And that is, I think, is just speaks so much to me, and how much cancer treatment costs. And so yeah, ultimately, to get to the answer your question here, is it was something fun and funny
Mhm.
that we thought, cool. And then I turned it into a movement that let's just catch up to cancer.
Mhm. No, that's one, it's an incredible slogan. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Two, I love ketchup. So
Okay.
I'm very sorry. And it's really weird to hear someone who doesn't like ketchup because it comes on like everything. I know a lot
I
of people
know.
don't like mustard or mayo, but I don't hear a lot of people who don't like ketchup, which is really
Yeah.
funny. Now, wow, raising $30,000 to St. Jude's, that's incredible. And I know that your goal is to raise, is it $26,200 now?
Correct. Yes. So I'm doing the three international majors. I'm not counting Sydney, the original six, the
Mhm.
OGs. And so it was 6,200 commitment for Berlin, 10,000 for London, which is where I'm actively at right now, and then Tokyo in 27 is another $10,000 commitment.
Okay. Will that be your 6 star?
It will be. Tokyo will be it.
That's incredible. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're going to love Tokyo. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's probably my favorite, if not my second favorite of the World Marathon Majors.
Really?
Yeah, which is
Wow.
surprising. People are always like, "What do you mean Tokyo is like so quiet?" But
Yeah.
once you run it and you see the people that are watching you, you realize they might be quieter, but they want to be there and
Yeah.
they truly believe in you. And so I feel like when I run it, I'm like, I can't let them down.
That's amazing.
And I also want to point out to everybody who listens or watches this that if you go to Alex's Instagram, KetchupToCancer, there is a video that he posted recently in a ketchup outfit, handing out ketchup.
Yep.
So when he says, handing out ketchup, he means business, and he actually did it. So definitely
Yes.
check it out because it's really funny.
Thank you.
Now, I know that you talked about how running and the walking has helped you become a better dad, a better employee, and things like that. Um, for your son, how do you explain kind of why you're running for, I mean, specifically St. Jude, and how does his presence, I know you talked about, you spent a lot of time on the couch and how you wanted to
Mhm.
make sure that he grew up with, a parent instead of losing another one. How does his presence influence your training and your fundraising mindset?
Yeah. So during my last career before I changed jobs like 3 years ago or so, I used to travel a ton for work, and he at one point told his teacher um, that he doesn't live at home anymore because dad travels so much, and that crushed me in an unimaginable way as well. Your son that's looking up to you just said, Dad, you're not showing up. And so for me, showing up is what matters. And so if I need to get him on the bus in the morning, right, I'm starting my long runs at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure I am back and done and present, and I'm there for the Taekwondo tournaments, and I'm there for all of the things, right? Because showing up matters. And so I lost that at some point, right? I was, again, focused and just getting through all of the things with losing Amanda and everything after that. But I think that showing up matters is huge. I think he also has been able to witness where Dad was when he was younger, right? 2019 Alex, I like to talk about a lot, is 2019 Alex wasn't the jungle gym, wasn't the one that had huge goals and is going out and pushing himself to chase a goal for 4 years, right? He was the guy that was just getting through the day, finding the convenient thing, and that's it. And so I think that helps to instill to him that we can set big goals for ourselves and we can strive and put the time in. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to hit some bumps in the road, right? And it's going to be hard, but you get up, dust yourself off, wipe the blood and sweat off, and just keep at it. And so I think that is another important factor. And then lastly, we have the power to make a difference in the world. We have the power every day to be positive, be negative, bring someone down, hurt somebody, or lift them up, and be the support structure that they need or don't even know that they need. And so I think instilling those values as well is something very, very important to care for other people.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. And I identify a lot with what you said, because I like to talk a lot about 2018 Mike, because that was kind of my 2019 Alex, where I was at my lowest. And I've actually had people who haven't seen me since then see me recently, and they'll be like, I didn't even recognize you. And I'll be like, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you know, as someone who's about to become a dad, your story of showing up and making sure that that's an important thing. I actually travel a little bit for work as well, and I want to make sure that I do exactly what you are doing now. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it's paramount as a parent, and it's something that can be a hard truth at times. And I guarantee you that what you are doing is showing your son so much of what is possible, and also the goodness in the world, because I probably don't have to explain to you all of the badness that's happening now.
Yes, so much.
And so to be able to be a light during dark times is something that our country, our world just needs a lot more of. And so I really appreciate what you are doing. It's incredible.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So you talked about coming up, you got Berlin, London, Tokyo. What does crossing those finish lines feel like? I know that if you want to I know that Tokyo is probably going to mean a lot because it's going to be your 6th star, but compare that to like, I don't know, Boston, which is so prestigious, or New York. Like, what does crossing these finish lines feel like, especially if you want to talk about a race that had a really big personal impact on you?
Yeah, so my very first marathon was the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon. I did that in 22, and for me, just getting out there and crossing the start line was a huge win. I had an injury along the way, and I had never done more than a half. And so I crossed that start line never running more than a half marathon in my life. And so every step was the longest I'd ever been out on a race course, the longest I'd ever run, the longest I'd ever walked, like anything. And so to your opening a little bit, like I stopped caring about what the time on the clock was. It was about finishing. And I had for me, a great race in New York. It's my marathon PR. It is not an elite time by any means, but it is hours faster than what 2019 Alex would have ever done. And so to carry that forward, and I completed Berlin this past September, and I felt like my body physically felt sick starting at 3K. And there are 39 more K after that. And so for me, it was about grit and resilience and being able to cross the finish line. I finished obviously slower than I wanted to, but it for me was about just continuing to move forward. Because in Amanda's treatment and since, I've kind of come to realize that forward is a pace. Like, I didn't move on from Amanda's passing. I moved forward. And it applies very well in running, just keep moving.
You're about to make me cry. Because you got me thinking about my grandma a lot, because I love that. I didn't move on, I moved forward from that loss, because that grief stays with you. It never ever leaves. It just the way it was described to me was it becomes kind of like scar tissue, and it just stays there and it never goes away. But
somebody described shortly after Amanda passed a box, a ball, and a button. And when the traumatic event happens, that ball is just pressing on that button all of the time. And as time passes, the ball gets smaller and starts kind of bouncing around. And eventually it hits that button, right? And there are just times, I call them button days. And I tell the important people in my life, like, I'm having a button day. And it's a way for them to know that I'm having a tough day. I might not want to get into it, but today's a button day. So just please be mindful of that. And that's it. We don't have to dive deep into, with my fiance or with my son or whatever, but just, it's a button day.
I love that too, because there is so much toxic masculinity out about sharing your feelings. And even if you don't share everything, being able to express, I'm having a day, like a bad day, you can expand on it or not, but being able to share that feeling is something that I feel like is lacking.
Agreed.
In the community a lot nowadays. Being open about that helps so many other people realize I should share my feelings too, because it's not weird to be upset. I don't have to hold this in, because I'm pretty sure if we use that button analogy, if you don't share your feelings, if you don't try to express them, then the box stays very, very tiny still, and the button's always pushed. And as we share and express those feelings, it gets bigger. And then, as you pointed out, it bounces around and doesn't always land on the button. Because I have those days too. I'm going to take that with me, because that's a beautiful thing to think about and to say. I'm going to tell my wife that after we're done with this.
Yeah, good.
Now, I want to talk about your purpose and your advocacy and your impact, because this is a huge part of your story now. So you turned running into this movement for you, talking about 2019 Alex and the 500 miles that you walked and things like that, to where you are now with fundraising, with awareness, with essentially legacy building. What is the single moment that you realized that this project had kind of grown beyond just kind of like a personal healing journey and became something larger?
Yeah, I think when I posted, so I started KetchupToCancer officially in July, and so it's still very, very new. But when I posted my post-race Berlin post, which is pinned on my profile, and I look absolutely miserable. It is like, I'm pretty sure I had just thrown up like 10 seconds before that photo was shot. And
I see it. I see it. I just looked it up. Oh my goodness.
is brutal. And all of a sudden, 2,000 views, 5,000 views, 10,000 views, 15,000 views. And I was like, what is happening? Like, hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments. Whoa. I'm a solo runner. Like, I'm not with a run club. I'm, 3 a.m., 5 a.m., right? And I just do it by myself, grind out my miles, come back, shower, I'm ready for the day, whatever. So I've always kind of felt a little isolated as a runner. I have a fantastic community. I'm a fraternity man and worked for our professional staff for 12 or 13 years. So I have a huge network of people that I'm very proud of and are always encouraging. It's that the run community just showed up in such a different way. And I don't know, the outpouring of support, the connections with people like yourself that I've been able to make, I don't know, it really does. The run community is lifting people up. And I think, I don't know, when that post went, low key viral, it's not in the million view kind of viral, but like that for me said, like, you're onto something here. This KetchupToCancer is a thing. People get it. And now just like I'm just leaning into whatever the next thing is. Like, well, hey, well, I could partner with Pen and Paces and do a in memory of KetchupToCancer bib. And so now I'm doing that, where I've got our catchy sticker here that, I'm doing that. And they're both of those athlete bouquets is doing this one. And both of those two amazing women and runners are donating to my charity through the sales of these materials. And I don't know, like I'm just trying to figure out what's the next thing every day, because there's just momentum here. And I tell my fiance, like, this is ridiculous. I cannot believe this thing is like got legs. And I don't know, it's really fun. I've been in communication, like professional communication, for a good portion of my career. I don't have to be professional. I can get squirted or pied with ketchup. I can hand out ketchup packets. Like, I can do whatever. And it's just me being a ridiculous dad that wants to do some good in the world.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that stands out to people is your authenticity. I think you're able to be you. I mean, yeah, I have to be really professional at work, but when I'm making video, I know I should be making videos to like, here's what you should be doing if you want to be a runner, and
Sure.
like, here's the shoes. I mean, I made videos like that at the very beginning when I started posting content, but now it's like funny videos making fun of like runners and don't take it so seriously and have fun with yourself and things like that. And that's what I feel like I don't want to say the running community, but we have all these running influencers that are bigger, that are very not authentic. They're very focused on their time, their pace, their placing, and they don't talk about the struggles that they face. They don't. Well, they might, but they don't focus on talking about the realness behind the curtain of running. Like, you could come in first, second, third place in a race, but what people see is only that, versus they don't know what struggles might be going on in the background, whether it's somebody that you've lost or struggle with depression, anxiety, or substance abuse, or what have you. And being able to be open and honest about that, I think, is really important in the running community. And I think one of the things that draws people to you is the fact that you are this person who has, it's not just something where I want to raise money and make money. This is, I have a legitimate reason for this existing, and this is the background and the reasoning behind it. And it shows, you also show that you're 100% behind it as well, and not just kind of using it as like a one-off thing. And so, I really commend you for that. And I think that's probably what draws you. I also have to send you, there's probably a picture of me on my Instagram. I have a picture very similar to that from my very first marathon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I show it to everybody, because I always try now to get like really nice photos when I run a marathon. And people are always like, how do you pose so well? And how did you get this picture? I go, hold on, let me show you 2021 Mike. And it is terrible. It makes everybody laugh. And that's what I love doing, is like, don't take yourself so seriously, because, life is already stressful enough. Why you have to keep making it more stressful?
Exactly. Well, because we run marathons. That's why we make it more stressful.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mean, you think you pick a sport that is, everyone says is easy because you're just putting one foot in front of the other.
Right.
But when you're doing 40,000 steps, you have a lot of things that can go wrong at any moment, as NBC. I mean, I did Berlin in this year, and it was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was awful. I was calling my wife actually at mile 17, and I was like, I think I want to quit. I hate this so much.
Yeah.
But she talked me down, and I finished. But the last 9 miles, I was like, I hate this. I don't know why I do this.
I know. I had in my head the 3:50 p.m. like sweep, and I was like runner's mathing from like an hour in, and like, how can I make sure to get there, because I was already feeling like trashed. And so like, I get it.
I saw videos of that, of people just getting to the line right as they close it, and they wouldn't let them go past, and they could see the finish line. It was so disheartening to see that.
Yeah.
Like, you would think you would let those people that are right there keep going, but they stopped them immediately, and it was really sad. So, speaking of exhaustion and burnout from a marathon, have you ever felt, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have, a burnout or some emotional exhaustion from, I mean, this is a big mission that you have, right? Raising a lot of money, like, not only raising money, but getting KetchupToCancer out there for other people to know about. Like, I'm sure you face some sort of exhaustion or potential burnout during this process. How do you recharge and protect yourself to like not completely collapse?
That's a good question. During the 3 U.S. majors, I was burnt hard because I did them in 11 months. Basically, November was New York, and then October was Chicago. So all 3 of those, and that that was physical exhaustion of you just grind, right? Like as I mentioned, forward is a pace, right? And you just keep taking the one step and the one step and the one step and the one step, and so I think being able to go and experience what Amanda's treatment was and how hard it was, and we never knew at any moment whether this was the day she was going to go to the hospital again, or she got sick or whatever, right? And so it was a lot of just grinding without, like, whatever, it is what it is. We don't have a choice here. And so I think in the running part of it, that was my hardest, was the 3 in a year. For the fundraising part, I think I can get discouraged along the way, right? Like you post a video and then it gets 7 likes and you're like, cool, I spent 2 hours on that. That's awesome, right?
I know that feeling.
Yeah, we did the Christmas parade, and we had this fantastic light up ketchup bottle on top of our car. I raised $0 from that, and I was like, cool, I've invested a lot of time and money in this, and it's okay. Like, not everything is going to hit, and that's totally fine. But in this, it's about awareness, right? And increasing awareness in the audience, and the idea that we could actually catch up to cancer eventually. And so I'm not one of those that posts every single day, because I've got a pretty demanding job. I've got my fiance and I each have our own kid. And so it's all the kid activities and all of that stuff. And so I think to wrap up my rant here is I have to be okay with whatever happens. Like, am I not gonna post today? Cool. Just, it's fine. So be it. No big deal. Am I going to post something and it's going to be a huge flop? Probably. I'm probably going to do that a lot more times. Maybe I'll have one that hits. That'd be awesome. And so I think if I'm not taking myself too seriously, this is not commanding every waking moment of my life. But as long as I'm taking this step and I'm progressing and moving forward, right? Just a little bit, an inch some days, a centimeter other days, maybe 2 steps back this day, but just the constant movement, and it'll hit in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always try to tell myself, especially on off days, when I feel like there's not been any growth or change, that the goal is not, you don't wake up one day and everything's miraculously different. It's every day is 1% better, 1% back, 2% better, but eventually those small incremental changes turn into lifelong, catharsis meanings that push you forward to become either a better person or help you come up with awareness for something that is so incredibly important that you might see as not necessarily at the forefront of where it should be at the moment. I mean, your perseverance in your mission is so incredibly inspiring to me.
Thank you.
And I know that, I mean, I've also had things that I've worked a long time on. I mean, when I started posting like 5-minute videos, 7-minute videos at the beginning of the year of like, if you're thinking about getting into running, here's what I recommend for like shoes and the different types of shoes and, strength training and the different types of runs. I got no views. I worked hard on those. I recorded for like 30 minutes, edited them for like 2 hours, got like 100 views. And, it is what it is. I posted something today that I thought was going to be really great, and it's got 8 likes. So,
awesome.
It is what it is. You have good days, you have bad days, but you just, like you say, you just keep moving forward, because that's all we can do.
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you, because you talk a lot about journey forward, right? That's changed your life, and it's helped you get through, a lot of difficulties surrounding Amanda and her your loss, and then also the struggles you face now with KetchupToCancer and trying to get the mission out there. I want to talk about how the journey that you've had, how it's changed, how we should be thinking about running or social media beyond kind of like a service level motivation, because I know you pointed out you might not get a lot of the traction with certain things, but how do you go a little like a step further besides that service level motivation that you get?
Yeah. I think it's about ultimately the mission here, right? And being able to make sure no family, with my partnership with St. Jude, no family ever receives a bill. And I know just how heavy that was for me. I've shared a couple of times, but after 2 weeks of treatment, we got a $400,000 bill. And I'm caring for my 34-year-old wife and our 3-year-old son. $400,000. What am I going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to have families focus on the only thing that matters and making sure their kid beats cancer is motivation, right? And again, I think my social presence is about making connections. And, I listen to a lot of running podcasts. I reach out to people like you of just like, hey, you inspire me. And I just want you to know that like I've heard your story. I'm listening to it right now in some cases. And it means something. Like it hit me in the feels. And some of my closest running friends have come from like that authentic reach out, as you mentioned, being vulnerable and just shooting my shot, if you will, of like, hey, random person I've never met on the internet, you inspire me, and I just want you to know that. And I think that's where it's where social media stops being like, how's the weather? Well, here's what I ate today. And it's where you dig that second layer deeper and be able to have authentic connections and become like friends and cheerleaders for each other. Another kind of phrase that I like to use a lot is you never know who's on your sidelines. And that goes in running, right? And people cheering for you physically, and also the people just watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you never know who you're inspiring. You never know who's hating on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have that power to just be a light and being able to make connections. Like you can bring more light to the world. And I don't know, just I talk a lot about making a difference, but that means so much to me. Is we all are here for a limited time. And for Amanda, unfortunately, it was just shy of 36 years. And for her, she wanted to do all of the things all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to drive me crazy of just like, can we just not like, but now I've learned to embrace it. And we should do all the things because tomorrow might be the last day.
I'm identifying so much with your story and what you just shared because I had that epiphany in 2018 because I tried to take my life and it was a very I can't even describe what everything was broken and I had to rebuild from the ground up, and I realized in that moment that I always continuously said I'll do it later, next week, tomorrow. And I realized that might not happen, so I should grab life and start actually living it. And that's what you described. Connection is, I feel like, something actually that social media is lacking now because everybody is sharing everything's hunky-dory, everything's great, my life is wonderful, here's everything that I've succeeded at, but no one talks about the struggles that they had to get there, which I feel like is what social media is lacking now. And it's caused a lot of like disconnect with people where it's like you pointed out, it's a surface level connection. And when we finally start to learn about that person, we go deeper, and that's where we make those friendships, which I'm really honored that you reach out to me because, I peruse multiple accounts that I'm not following at the time. And yours came up, and I was just like really impressed by that one because it was
that's awesome.
KetchupToCancer, and I was like, Ketchup, this is very interesting. But then when I found out about your story, I was like, this is incredible. So I feel like we're on the same wavelength. When you reached out to me, I'm pretty sure I was about to reach out to you. So I really appreciate that. And I wanted to kind of segue into, we talked about this kind of like going a little bit deeper with the relationships that we have on social media, especially when it comes to this kind of topic and in the running community. But I wanted to ask if you could share a message to someone out there that's listening who's grieving, or they lost someone and they're thinking, I'll never run again. They've lost the motivation, or they don't know what to do. What would you say to them as a runner, as an activist, or just as a person?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is taking the first step. It's finding the motivation to get up off the couch, to start that business, to do whatever that thing is that you are missing or lacking or dreaming of. There's a phrase that, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's how I've tackled KetchupToCancer. That's how I've tackled running. That's how I've tackled Amanda's cancer journey. Was I just need that first bite, that next bite, right? And just it's a mountain you're climbing. It's Everest you're climbing. For me to get up off the couch and walk out that front door was Everest, right? It's tomorrow, it's next week.
Yeah.
I'll do it January 1st. I'll do it when it gets warm. I'll do it when it's not raining. I'll do it. Like, you can make 1,000 excuses for yourself, and taking a step toward the thing, it adds up, right? Like, part of my journey also includes weight loss. And how did I do that? Well, I cut out Diet Cokes, or I only drank one Diet Coke a day. And then, it's little itty bitty changes added up to something humongous that has led me on a wild ride for 6 years.
Absolutely.
So forward is a pace. Take that first step.
Incredible. That was a fantastic answer.
Thank you.
Like, just saying that, I know I'm a podcast host, but like, I hate to say this is a podcast too. It's just really weird. But that forward is a pace is such a simple but so effective and strong mantra to have, which you've kind of jumped ahead with one of the questions I have.
Okay.
Because those are the main questions that I wanted to ask you. Now, every person that I interview, I have a series of quick questions for you to answer. This is called the hot seat. So these are just 4 questions, just off the top of your head, answer and give me what comes to mind first. So, trail or road? Favorite running shoe brand at the moment?
Brooks. I've only run in Brooks.
Okay. Sweet or savory post-run meal?
Savory, because I've been up for 3 hours already.
Smart. And then what is the one piece of running gear that you cannot live without?
I would say my Brooks. I think
Okay.
Everything else, like, you can run without headphones, you can run without all those things. So I don't know, those comfortable shoes that get you moving are good.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the last person that I interviewed said socks, so it's in the same realm. In the same realm.
Yeah.
Now, you've kind of, I think, answered this question. Now, I ask everybody to provide me with either a quote or a mantra or a line that gets you through tough miles, because I have something that I'm creating called the Motivation Library, where I kind of put together all the mantras that people have given so that other people can see them if they want to try to find one for themselves if they don't have one already. So I know you said forward is a pace. Is that the one we're going with, or is there a different one?
Yeah, I think that's my primary one. Like, it's what gets me through, like, when my times are not what I want them to be, or like when something is challenging in life, like, forward is a pace.
I mean, that is probably one of the most powerful mantras that anybody can have. So I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. And then last but not least, so I want you to imagine you're at Tokyo. Okay, you've run over the cobblestone. You turn left. You see the finish line. You're about to cross and get your 6th star. Right as you're crossing that finish line, what song is playing in your headphones?
So I'm a huge fan of Fall Out Boy. I'm in my early 40s, and emo era was my college time. They have a song called Champion. And there's a line in it that, if I can get through this, I can do anything. And like, during Amanda's treatment, that just rang true to me. Like, if I can get through this, I can do anything.
Yeah, that's the perfect song for you. I love that. Well, Alex, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Your story and your strength and the heart behind KetchupToCancer is just incredibly powerful. The way that you turn the love that you have, the loss that you went through, and the purpose that you put into the miles, starting with walking and then moving into running in your marathons, is something that inspires far beyond running. I think it's going to help a lot of people that are dealing with loss or dealing with the issues that you pointed out in 2019 with 2019 Alex. And I'm really just so grateful that you were able to share your journey with us. And I know a lot of people listening or watching are going to feel a little bit less alone because of it. And I'm also really honored that you are the first guest on this podcast.
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
couldn't have asked for a more perfect guest to open this up with because of your story. So I want to thank you profusely for that.
It's a huge honor, man. This is fun and it's a wild ride, and I cannot wait to see what you do with this thing because I've done several podcasts, and this is easily like you are crushing it, and I am excited to watch your journey here, my man.
So that was Alex. What an incredible story of perseverance, resilience, and working with such an incredible organization and creating one of his own. If you don't follow him already, he's on Instagram at KetchupToCancer. I feel like so many people who listen to this podcast will identify with his story in one way or another, whether it's from the loss that he went through or the rebuilding of himself that he was able to do in 19 to get to where he is today. And I want to thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of At Your Own Pace. Whether you're walking, you're jogging, you're racing, or just thinking about getting started with running, remember that you belong here. And until next time, keep running your story 1 mile at a time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.